Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. And he's back once again in the co-captain's chair after he's been cruising around the Caribbean or
Yeah,
something
we were
like
in the Bahamas,
Bahamas.
Puerto Rico.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Mr. Grant Arthur is back once again.
Hey, nice to see you. Nice to
Yeah,
be here.
same here. Same here. Feeling good?
I'm yes, 95% here.
Good. Okay.
So yes, I'm
I
good.
know those cruises can be tough on the body, lack of sleep, sometimes too much drinking and canoodling about, too many diseases and things like that, all that kind of stuff. People falling overboard, and
Yeah, we had that on the
I
first
hate to
night.
make light of that. So for everybody watching, Grant was on the cruise where the guy from Faster
Faster
Pussycat's
Pussycat.
fiance tragically fell overboard and passed away, which is horrible, horrible
Well,
for.
they didn't find her.
He never found her. Jesus, that's
Not
crazy.
that I know of.
Out in the
Well,
middle of
it's
the
out in the
ocean.
middle of
Where
the
are you
ocean.
gonna
How you
find
gonna?
her? Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, it was tragic, and that was on the first night. But everybody rallied. It wasn't like everybody was fine, but
Now,
it really did.
how much did the news of that happening kind of fly about the ship? Did everybody know about it within like a
Well,
couple
they did an
hours?
announcement overhead.
Oh, they did. Okay. All
And
right.
then right after that, I got on Facebook and posted it. So I beat everybody to
There
the
you go.
punch because I
Reporting
was
the
in my
news.
room when they talked about it, and I went, "Jeez, I better post that."
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So they turned the ship around, see if they could find her, but they had the Coast Guard out. I mean, heck, I never found her.
Just the thought of being out there in the middle of the ocean in the water is absolutely frightening. I have a fear of deep water anyway.
Well, that'd be pretty deep.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, geez, that's a horrible way to go. Horrible. Anyway,
Yeah,
now,
it was a good cruise anyway. I got to see, probably the highlight of the whole cruise. I love going to all these interviews with people, and I would have to say that one of the interviews that was the highlight probably was Don Dawkins' interview, which Don was great, and his performance was well, you know how Dawkins is now, but
yes,
he's out there. His band is killer. The bass player should be doing all the vocals, uh, and I think Andy Bell of Erasure was a good interview. It was a good cruise. Adam Ant was playing, and Adam Ant's 70 and he's had a lot of health issues. He wasn't People were very critical on his performance. Evidently, Adam Ant is still very big. A lot of huge fan base, but they were very critical of his performance. I thought for a guy who was 70 and has had a lot of health issues here recently, I thought he was fine. And Don, for all his health issues, you have to hand it to him, Pete. He's out there doing it. The fans that were there were appreciative. He's not 100%. He's not the Don Dock in 1986, which was absolutely stunning vocally, but he's out there. So I was glad to see him, because I saw him in 86 during the great period. And to see him now, it's kind of sad, but I don't know his financial background. He's out there doing it. I'll hand it to him that he's doing it.
yeah. I haven't seen them in year. I haven't seen Don live in many, many years. But I caught him plenty during the '80s and the early '90s. But we've all seen the YouTube clips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't move very fast.
No, he doesn't move much at all, and the
Well, they
face is
brought
yeah.
him up for the interview, and he, was it Mark Goodman who was interviewing him? I can't remember. And they brought him up, and he's not moving very fast, and his hand is useless. Said he can't play guitar at all anymore, and he was a good player. It's just really sad.
Yeah.
It's really kind of sad.
It's a shame.
It
Everybody
is
gets
a
older,
shame.
including us, right?
And the only other thing before we start is the one thing that I learned, and I've said this before, and a lot of people went, well, it goes both ways. He really said George Lynch was a pain in the ass. It's what he's telling stories. So go on my channel, go to Grant's Rock Warehouse, check out the Don Dokken interview. It's up there. But it's amazing that Dokken even had success because it felt like Don was trying to get there, trying to make the band something. And at every turn, he got cut off by George Lynch. It's like, George, didn't you want to be successful? That's what Don said. Don't you want to be in a success? I just found it. I love these interviews with these guys. It was just fascinating So,
Especially the bands that have some kind of controversy, right, throughout their history. Because that's when you get all the dirt, and sometimes they're complimentary of each other, and sometimes they just let it all hang out.
but in the end, this was Don's band,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
100%. And, George had a lot of issues with that. There were just issues. It's just amazing that they even were successful. That's all I'm going to
I'll put it
say.
to you this way. I have great respect for George Lynch and his guitar playing. I've been a fan for a long time. But you have to wonder, there's probably a reason why he's done like a million projects and none of them last too long. And there's been a million lineups of Lynch Mob and he's come and gone from Dawkins so many times. There's got to be a reason for all that, right?
There has to be. And the other thing that I wondered when Don was talking during his interview, I was going, well, why didn't you just fire George and get another guitar player? You're in LA on the Sunset Strip. There are guitar players dime a dozen. Think about of all the guys that were just hot shit that probably never even got noticed. But
Yeah.
maybe it was that chemistry. Some people have told me that it's just that chemistry of that Doc and lineup.
I
Even
would
when we had
argue that
Juan
that
playing
probably, yeah,
bass, even
that
when
holds a lot of
Juan was
weight.
in the band, there
Yeah.
was something about the combination. So maybe it was that, and he just
I
thought,
think
"Oh,
so. Yeah, that's the classic lineup, right? So it's like you got you they've I think over the years they've kept trying to make it work. It's like, well, let's keep trying. Maybe we'll get along. But it's like the Richie Blackmore and Ian Gillan thing, right? Sometimes just two guys, no matter how much that's the classic configuration, they just don't mesh.
but you've
Just
got to have that configuration because it
right.
works. There's magic."
Yeah.
And I guess the Doc and lineup with George, even when Juan was in the band or Jeff Pilson, I guess it just worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny the story that he had about Jeff Pilson when they found him. I'm not going to say anything about it, but you wouldn't even think he'd be in this band.
Really.
Oh, he had like short hair. He wasn't a metal guy as far as I know. They just found him because he was evidently a good bass player and good singer, or he could hold his own. Yeah, but he had real short hair. He was not typical of what you would think, but they brought him
I
in.
could picture that. I could see that. Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
All right.
We've
Cool.
already went on a tangent, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, right from the get-go, right?
right from the get-go.
That's right. We are doing a ranking the album show, right?
I
So
think so.
Loggins and Messina, folks. So Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina. This was pretty much labeled as kind of like a little super group at the time. Of course, Jim Messina had a nice pedigree before he even hooked up with Kenny Loggins here. Of course, he was fresh out of Poco at this point in time. And of course, he did other things before then. Of course, the great guitar player and vocalist and songwriter, Kenny Loggins at the time, kind of like an up and coming guy, right at this point in time.
Well, yeah, if it probably wasn't for Jim, I don't know if we'd even hear of Kenny. I'm not saying Kenny's not talented by all means, but Kenny got Jim was kind of working with Kenny to kind of get him together and was
Yeah,
going to produce him and got him the deal and kind of presented Kenny to the world. And originally it was just Kenny's contract
yeah.
with
This was
Columbia,
yeah,
but then they just kind of formed a duo because it was just on the first album, it was just Jim Messina sitting in with Kenny Loggins. But, you know, Messina was just thought that his songs were just, great. So he was, and I think Messina was kind of like that, kind of like a mentor. Because when I look at him in Poco, you kind of look at Poco, but then you see Jim Messina kind of he's like really the guy, coming from Buffalo Springfield, even though we had Richie Furay in there. But I always get this picture of Jim Messina, just this kind of producer, overseer. So he saw something in Kenny Loggins, and well, look at what we've got. We've got this great catalog.
yeah. And, ironically, as you say, kind of like him getting involved with Kenny Loggins really helped launch the career of Kenny Loggins. And this duo did fairly well for themselves over the course of a few years, right? In 6 studio albums, which we're going to rank. But then really look at what they did after they decided to discontinue this. Jim did some solo records, none of which really set the world on fire, but Kenny Loggins became a huge, huge recording artist on his own going forward. So I
Mhm.
would say that this collaboration here really worked well for him in a big way.
Yeah, I think in the 70s, I think these guys sold 16 million records.
That's
And
nothing to sneeze at.
by the time Hall and Oates, well, of course, Hall and Oates were, well, I think they were out in the early 70s, right?
Yeah, they were contemporaries. Yeah, yeah,
But they took off in the 80s, as we know, and they outsold Loggins and Messina. So prior to that, Loggins and Messina was a big deal, pretty much. So
yeah, yeah.
very successful duo.
And a lot of really great players in their band as well. So for folks who think it was just the two of them, they actually did have a lot of really, really great players. Probably too long to mention, but I'll throw some names out here real quick. Al Garth on saxophone and clarinet and all sorts of other things. John Clark also on saxophone reeds and horns and things like that. Larry Sims on bass, lead and backing vocals. Really good singer.
He's killer bass player too, very predominant on all this stuff.
Yes,
Must mention
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. Steve Foreman, David Page from Toto plays on a bunch of albums. Dave Wallace, keyboards as well. Merrill Brigante on drums. Michael O'Martian on keyboards. Milt Holland, drums and percussion. Vince Denham on flutes and sax and things. So, and Rusty Young helped out some stuff here and there. So, yeah, a lot of really great players have kind of come and gone. Victor Feldman also, Vince Charles. So, the list of top-notch studio musicians and later live players for them in this band really, really good. And so, quickly in saying all that, because when you talk about all these session guys, you're like, oh, wasn't that guy a jazz session player? Wasn't that like a country guy? So, yeah, the flavors in these records range from pop to like soft rock to some pretty adventurous rock music at times. Certainly, there's some country rock going on here. There's a little bit of what we call blue-eyed soul, right? There's all sorts of different folk, a lot of folk rock going on here. So, very eclectic albums with a whole bunch of hit singles and a lot of really great deep cuts. And what I love, Grant, and we'll probably talk about it, almost all these albums, there's at least one, like, or sometimes two lengthy, very adventurous compositions here that really show what they could have done if they decided to say, screw trying to have hits and things. Let's do some really a little bit more expansive material. And for me, I love hearing that kind of stuff. And that really
That's
surprised me.
that's the stuff that I just absolutely could listen to over and over from this band.
Yeah.
And we do have to mention this too, because I'm going to mention it a whole bunch during this show. But the guitar chops of Jim Messina
Yeah.
on this whole catalog is amazing.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk guitar. Now he's one of those guitar players like Lindsey Buckingham, who's finger picker. You know, when Lindsey Buckingham's a great player, Jim Messina's right up there. I don't know why Jim Messina doesn't get as much notoriety. You listen to some of this stuff because yeah, there are going to be country licks on here. There's going to be just regular rock licks, and there is no denying who is playing the licks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He has got like a stamp that you can it's
Very
Messina,
distinctive. Yeah, for sure.
and
And
he's pretty a clean player,
yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
very when you listen to him play, he's very his parts I think are very well thought out. He's very clean player, very precise, and his finger picking, it's almost like an attack on the strings. It's almost like I don't know if he's using any compression. He might be using some compression, but it's so distinct. And I'm surprised that guitar players haven't went down that road and looked at Messina as a player because there's so many great runs and licks and playing on this record. It's amazing.
I think there's more impressive guitar playing on these albums than any of the albums he played on in Poco, which you
100%.
would have thought he would have tried to do a little bit more of that on the Poco albums. And that's why because this catalog is very new to me. I only just started diving in when we discussed doing this a couple months ago. And I was amazed at how much guitar there are on these albums. And I'm
A
like,
lot of
this
guitar.
guy's a hell of a player. I never got any of that really from the Poco albums. You get little bits here and there, but you had a few players on Poco. Now here it's just, I mean, and Loggins is doing some acoustic stuff and a little bit of rhythm guitar, but this is Jim Messina is doing all the lead work on these, and it's like, wow,
He's
it's
hot shit.
opened my eyes up. So yeah,
Well, that's
pretty
what
good stuff.
these that's why we look at this stuff, Pete, because we're trying to open up other people's eyes too. If you have not heard this catalog, though I do have some criticisms.
I do
It's
too.
not
Yeah.
a perfect catalog.
No, no,
There are bits and pieces like we're going to find out that really stand out. So anyway,
yeah,
I
cool.
think we've ladies and gentlemen, we
That's our
haven't even
intro.
started to rank yet.
Not even started to rank yet. We're 20 minutes in. So all right. So
20
we'll
minutes.
get caught up, everybody. Bear with us. So we've got six albums, so we'll do two at a time, or you want to do three at a time, Grant?
Let's do two. We're
Let's do
fine.
two. All right. So you're number six and five.
Now, first of all, we haven't really discussed the game plan for this. Are we talking about the covers album So Fine?
I've included it in here because
Okay, I've included it in mine.
okay, yeah.
Okay. So I say we do two.
Yeah,
And
two's fine. Yeah,
we
two is
can
fine.
we'll go quick.
Yeah.
All right. So I've already given my preamble to the Constitution on Poco and Jim Messina, who I'm a big fan of now. Well, I had the first two records, so I knew those really well. But the rest of the catalog, I really didn't go down that road. So it was really wonderful, eye-opening to see how the rest of the catalog played out. Okay. So how many records do we have? Six?
Six, yep.
Okay, so my number six, I'm gonna go with the covers album So Fine. And the only reason I'm going with that is number six. The production is great. They're doing all these tracks like Oh Lonesome Me, which is pretty much hardcore country. But if you're a guitar player, go out and listen to the way Jim Messina approaches these songs. As far as from a guitar standpoint, there's a lot of great guitar on these. Now, I much rather listen to Loggins and Messina do original material. That's why I rate it low. But the production's great. There is no slacking on these records because Jim Messina was the producer. Everything is, you don't see anything on these records where they're going, oh, I think they're slipping a bit. Now, the way you may look at them, I think there are some albums that I think most of this later period, I think I look at everything as more of a collection of songs as opposed to an actual album, where I think the ones I rank higher, I said this sounds more like an album. This is just a collect So Fine is just a collection of covers, all well done. Is it something that you need? No. Go out and listen to it. It's not bad. It's just is what it is. It's a tribute to these artists. And I get it. That's great. This is like something they should have done 20 years after their career was over. But no, they're doing it when they were still selling records. Now, I don't think this record even charted by this point. This is
It's the only
1975.
one not to go gold or platinum in their catalog, so that
Yeah.
the public kind of ignored it. Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah, I do too.
It's it's fine. It's still got up to I think number 21 on the charts. But what you see here, I don't think you need to, it's not necessary. Unless you like cover versions. My number five, I'm going to go with Native Sons 1976. Holy, there you go. Starts
By the
out with a
way,
track,
BGO Records released all six albums on two albums in one collection, so they're well worth getting, and they're fairly easy to get. So that's kind of the route that I went. So it's
and we've talked about BGO before.
yeah,
Everything that I've ever bought from them, I don't have anything to do with that label, but I've always been very happy with what I get and the sound quality and the notes. They do great reissues. So if you're going to go into this catalog, I would recommend looking down that road if you are a physical media person. So this record starts off with Sweet Marie. You've got a killer riff starting off with Jim Messina. You're going to hear me talk about Jim Messina all the time because I just love it. You've got baritone sax, horns. It starts off rocking. It's good. Um, but I look at this album as not so much an album. It just seems like more of a collection of songs. Pretty Princess, almost has like a late 60s ballad feel, flute orchestration. These later records, or at least in this period that we're going to, in my ranking, it just doesn't seem like an album, it just seems like a collection. And you get a lot of different styles of music. Sweet Marie rocks, and then you got like a folky late 60s thing with, Pretty Princess. Uh, My Lady Love, you got Kenny singing. I feel like I'm in France. You got a mandolin. I could see this as a single though. It's very catchy. I do like this song quite a bit, but I just see that these albums are a little bit haphazard. And I don't see them working together as a team so much. It's almost like, all right, here's a Jim Messina song, here's a Kenny song. It's not like what you get like on the earlier albums where I do think that they're really collaborating more. Um, when I was a child, Jim Messina, the bass is very predominant. And when we talk about this catalog, you're going to find that the bass on all these records are very out front and out in the mix, kind of like Paul McCartney. Though, if you listen to those Wings albums in the 70s, Paul's always out front.
Oh
It's
yeah.
kind of like that, but it works well, I think. Um, I mean, this is the final studio album. It's fine. I like it as a collection of tracks, but you can maybe the writing's on the wall that they're done, you know. Uh, I don't find it as a contractual album by any means because you've got Peacemakers on here, you got Kenny singing acoustic track, but I think when I listen to this, the Kenny Loggins songs sound more like part of his solo catalog than the Loggins and Messina catalog.
Yeah.
And Jim, when he does his stuff, it's Jim doing what Jim does. Um, so it's not so much an album, but a collection of songs, but none of it is bad by any means. So that's my first two.
Okay. Well, we are completely in sync because I'm also going to go with So Fine as my number six. Yeah, I mean, Splish Splash is fun, I guess. It's really
Well, is
well.
it fun? Is it? No. I don't want to hear Splish Splash. Maybe
No,
it was.
here's the thing. It's fun because it sounds like they're having fun doing this stuff. That's kind of the vibe I get. It sounds like they had a blast making this album. I don't really have a blast listening to it. It's like it's fine. It's well produced. Like you mentioned, there's some really good, and it's mostly like country stuff on here. It's
Yeah.
probably why it appeals to me the least. And Messina's guitar work is great. But personally, most of these songs I don't really give two shits about, to be honest with you. Um, and it's just like it's one of those you listen to once or twice, and then that's kind of it.
Mhm.
I'm not huge on covers albums anyway, but yeah, it's just there. As Grant said, it's not essential in this catalog at all. If you get it with the BGO with the other album, you get it, you have it, right?
Well, I don't think I could be wrong. Someone could be wrong, but I think this might have been the first time. Maybe these came out in Japan. I don't know. As far as I know, these were never on CD until BGO put
The
these
BGO
out. And
releasing that could there
I
could
don't
very
know.
well
This
be
has probably been in print for 10 years or more, 15 years maybe.
at least, right? Yeah, is there a date on here? 2008. So there you have
Yeah.
it.
So
17 years.
Columbia probably never figured that, we might as well license it out. No one
Well, they're
probably
the
really
two
cares
least
about it.
selling albums in the catalog, right?
Right.
So that makes total sense. So yeah, it's my number six and my number five. I'm also going to go with Native Sons with their final album. Uh, it kind of sounds like a final album to me. It sounds like they're kind of like running out of steam a little bit. I
Yeah.
think Messina, from a guitar perspective, he's kind of a little quiet on this album. To me, this album is very much almost like a Kenny Loggins album, which I think you kind of hinted at as well.
It's
I
getting there.
yeah, I love Sweet Marie. Man, that's a great album opener. I wish the rest of the album was like that.
Mhm.
You got a string section shows up on various tracks on here. You know, Pretty Princess, pretty good. Messina's vocals are good on the album, I think. Wasting Our Time, that's kind of upbeat. That's nice. You got Peacemaker, which is kind of like Kenny Loggins loves doing these like kind of like Caribbean pop song type of thing, which we're going to talk about because there's a lot of this in the catalog. It's pretty catchy. It's not really my thing, but it's okay. Boogeyman's generic honky tonk blues. I don't know. A Foxfire, I think is really good. I like that a lot, and a lot of guitar licks on that one. So I think for me, this is kind of a mediocre album, but there's at least three or four really good songs on here. The rest to me don't interest me all that much. But like I said, if you're a completist, you got to have it. And but it's my number five, and that's 1976, sixth and final album.
All right. I guess I'm at number four. My
Yeah.
number four, I'm gonna go with Motherlode, 1974. Um, I like this record. I have no problem with the record. It's still sounds like they're still interested in the project. Starts off with Growing, Kenny Log. It could be this when I hear Growing, I'm thinking a hit single. It's catchy Kenny Loggins, and that's usually what I want on for Kenny. I want something catchy, something that brings me in right at the beginning. And you've got that trademark Messina guitar work. You just cannot deny the greatness. Um, Be Free, you've got Larry Sims coming out to the forefront. I think Be Free is a great Messina track, and I think that Loggins and Messina vocal blend on this particular track is great. You got mandolin, you've got flutes. It's a good track. I like it.
Yeah.
Um, but still, I'm listening to Motherlode. and it just seems more like a collection of songs than an album to me. And I must say, I want
But
to
good
bring this up.
songs.
Good songs, but the thing is with Loggins and Messina, I might as well bring it up since it's in. I'll forget if I don't bring it up. A lot of these songs or the production on all these albums are all sound the same. An album from 72 could be from 1976. I think it's, and I've mentioned this before, we could take Don't Look Back and the first Boston album, cut it all up, put it in a bowl, and reorganize it. All the songs would fit. All these songs in this entire Loggins and Messina catalog all could be on another album. They weren't like one of those bands that started out somewhere and grew into something. They were early
They stayed in the
fully,
same lane. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
stayed in the same lane. So you listen to this stuff and they're not doing anything new on any record. So you kind of have to base it on how good the songs are. Motherlode has a lot of good songs, but could Be Free be on Sitting In? It could. Could Growin' be on the second album? Well, it could. So there's a lot, not a lot of differentiation. So, but changes. I want to mention this. Kenny Loggins, killer. Messina on this record is on fire. I will mention that. In fact, actually, the whole band is on fire on this album. They were really having a good period. You got clavinet. You kind of have a funky feel. It gives it kind of a fresh, when I look at it,
That
I'm going, oh,
clavinet
that's
shows up quite a
interesting.
bit on a few of these albums, and nothing wrong with that.
And was that because of Stevie Wonder using the clavinet so
It could
much during
be.
this
Yeah,
area?
it could
It could
be.
have been an influence. Whatever, I'm good with that. Brighter Days is Kenny Loggins' ballad. You got strings, you got mandolin. I don't have much more to say about this record, but there is a song on here, and we can talk about it. But this is the last album where they had like a track that was like 8 minutes long, where there was like a jam track. Now that all pretty much first started on. Well, there's that melt that. Well, we'll get there. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we didn't get that on Native Sons.
No, no.
And we do have that, and those are my favorite tracks. And I'm trying to remember. I didn't make a note on that. What's the song on Motherlode? Is it Move On? Oh, wait a minute.
Might be Move On. Yes.
What's like 8 minutes? And
Hold on. I'll tell you.
great song. They go in and they start jamming during it. I didn't make a note on it, but you get one of these tracks on every record other than uh Native Sons. But still, I'm holding this one back a little bit because I see it as a collection of songs, not an album to me, because it's so varied in styles. I don't think you could
Yeah,
take any of these
Move On
tracks,
is the song. It's
moving
Move
on.
On.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
Move
I
On.
like that a lot.
Yeah, that's really good.
And, you could change the sequencing and I don't think it would matter. You know, everything's well played, well produced, everything's top notch. But there are some songs I think on the albums that I'm going to be talking on that are much stronger. So we'll get there. Motherlode is worthy. If you're looking into this catalog, you see it in the used bin, get it. Get that one. All right. My next one I'm going to go is Full Sail 1973. This it's got the yacht rock cover.
That's the Yacht Rock album.
Yeah, it is too. Not all of it, but
No.
it starts out with La Hana, the Jim
Uh-huh.
Messina track, very Caribbean, very the bass is out front. I wrote on my notes, let's go sailing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I don't know if they play that on the Yacht Rock station on Sirius XM, but
I don't
they
know.
probably
They
should.
should. Yeah.
Because it is 1973. I don't have anything earlier that I could say that's Yacht Rock. This might have been the birth of it, considering the album cover. Uh, Oh, and but then it goes into Traveling Blues, which is another Jim Messina track. It's a total 180 from the opening track. It's mellow. I don't find it that memorable. A love song, though, absolutely top-notch Kenny Loggins ballad. And it wasn't a single. Yeah, it was a single. No, it wasn't a single. It should have been a single, but it wasn't. I think it's one of Kenny's best ballads. He sounds great. It's excellent. It was on the B side to My Music. Did I skip My Music? I skipped My Music. So I thought, God, a love song had to be the single, but no, it was the B side. The track before that is My Music, which is a Loggins and Messina collaboration. It is a hit. It's rock and roll. It got to 116 on the charts. It's basic rock and roll is what it
Yeah,
is.
it's a great song.
But they played the hell out of it in the 70s. I must say, when I was a kid, it was on the radio a lot. Um, Here we go. Here's another one. Another great track. Watching the River Run, which leads off side two. Kenny's taking the lead. Jim Messina all over at the guitar. Got to 71 on the charts. Great track. Great melody. You've got better melodies on this record, I think. I like the songwriting better. Again, it sounds like a collection of tracks, but I think it has better songwriting. Pathway to Glory, or if we're going to talk brilliance, that's what we're going to talk about. 8 minutes. The guitar from Jim Messina on this is great. It's another long jam track. It's almost prog, almost prog. The section of this you're looking at it going, what is going on here?
You got violin and harmonica and keyboards, and then that long guitar solo.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Do yourself a favor. Go out and check out Pathway to Glory. Go check that out and listen to Jim Messina. Listen to him. Brilliant. Uh, it's a good record. It's not, I mean, it's my number three. I have no problem with this record at all. I think the songwriting's great, the production's great, Jim Messina is great. It's just all over the place. Now, it doesn't drive me crazy, but when I'm looking at albums, everything needs to fit together. I mean, this is close, uh, but well worth having. Well worth having. And I think that this record went platinum.
yeah,
Motherlode, I think, only went gold, but this sold really well. The singles on here really did well on the charts. So, Loggins and Messina were riding high at this point.
yep, yep.
So there you go. There's my next two.
All right. Well, that Full Sail is my number four.
All right.
I agree with everything you said. There's, to me, there are some outstanding tracks on here. There's a couple that don't really do much for me, but for the most part, um, I mean, the long tracks are good. How about You Need a Man Coming to You, which is 9 minutes? It's like funky rock and tasty guitars, and you got keyboards and the horns.
Yeah,
Love
I
it.
wrote on here on my notes. I didn't talk about it, but I wrote 9 minutes and 12 seconds. Absolute killer.
Yeah, love it.
It's got two long tracks. Now you could look at this, Pete. Well, why are they stretching? Are they lacking material? I mean, I'm good with those tracks. Don't get me wrong, but you could perceive it like, well, maybe Loggins and Messina are running out of stuff, and they have to extend these songs somewhat to fill the record.
I wonder if it's more of a let's give the band some really fun stuff to work out to, right? Because it is called Loggins and Messina, but yet you have this fairly constant band of musicians. So maybe those long tracks on every album is a way for the band to kind of show us what you got type of
And
thing.
that, yeah, and like we've said before, they have a great band
Yeah, the
that
band is
stuck with
great.
them the
Yeah,
whole career.
the whole
Of
career.
course,
Yeah, yeah.
hot, hot band. So let them stretch out.
Let them stretch out. So they do that on that. So You Need a Man Coming to You is one of them. The other one, like Grant mentioned, Pathway to Glory is killer. There's some, easygoing pop stuff. Didn't I Know You When? It's okay. It's not
It's
bad.
all right.
Um,
Oh,
Sailing the Wind.
I don't want to interrupt, but you know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
Jim Croce.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kinda, because it's that era. It makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'm not that crazy about that track either.
No, yeah, that and Sailing the Wind, they're kind of like, it's a little kind of like dreamy country pop. I'm like, whatever. I mean, Loggins is singing great and all that kind of stuff, but whatever.
But it
My
loses
music is terrific.
it loses steam at the end,
It
is
does. Yeah.
what
It's a little
basically what
fun.
we're saying here.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Starts off good. I mean, Lahana is fun. I'm not really a fan of that style, but you're absolutely right. Why that's not looked at as like a yacht rock classic is beyond me. Um, but my music is just absolutely terrific. Absolutely
It's terrific.
terrific. So yeah, so all in saying there's a handful of tracks that I really, really, really like a lot on Full Sail, and there's a few that just don't really do it for me. But overall, it's worth having because you got the amazing lead single and some really good extended tracks and a couple other really decent ones. So that's my number four. My number three is probably going to surprise Grant, but my number three is the first album. I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
second album, Loggins and Messina,
Yes,
self-titled.
that does surprise me.
Yeah, so it's number three. It's great. It's really great. So, and here, this is the only album in the catalog where Loggins helps out with the production. So that usually it's just Jim Messina, but he's, I guess officially, this was, if you want to be real nitpicky about it, this is the first official Loggins and Messina album because I think the sitting in is more like Kenny Loggins with Jim Messina,
Oh,
right? Oh, yes, there you go. You
oh,
like
I
that?
triggered the balloons.
But this is a great album. My top three, I kind of kept going back and forth on because for me, they're just so good. But Good Friend, another great funky rock song from these guys. I like when they do that. Great Messina vocal. Love the clavinet and the lead guitars. Just really good. Whiskey, short little folky pop song, kind of charming. Your Mama Don't Dance was the big hit here. I mean, it's just a great, funky, hard rock, not hard rock, honky tonk rock song. It's just
But I don't
everybody
ever
knows
have to
it.
hear it again.
No, probably don't need to hear it again, but we all remember, we all grew up with it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, Long Tail Cat, great vocal from Loggins. It's kind of more of that acoustic country blues stuff, whatever. I think Golden Ribbons is terrific. Reminds me of Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
That's exactly what I wrote down in my notes.
The harmonies, right? The vocal harmonies.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
And Messina and Stills, I must say, when they approach the guitar part, it's very Steven Stills like.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you listen to it,
yeah,
I'm going, whoa, was he channeling Steven Stills?
yeah.
Because man, this is
Very good.
very CSN.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a great song. It's a great song. I Thinking of You is another good, that's a good pop song from them. And then you get Just Before the News, which is like this country instrumental kind of hoedown with like fiddle and acoustic guitar. It's like, okay, that's fun. It's kind of weird on here, but it's cool. What else? Holiday Hotel, that's pretty good. Lady of My Heart, another little brief little acoustic thing. Angry Eyes. Prop
Let's just take a moment, Pete, and just angry eyes. Let's just take a moment.
I would put it the argument in that that's probably their best song
I would say 100%. I could listen to Angry Eyes
over and
over
over again.
and over. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, holy mackerel. And I never get tired of it. It is a perfect collaboration between Loggins and Messina. What a way to end a record. You're
Yeah,
going, well, I'm ready for the next record after this.
that's right. You forget that it's the last song on there. Yeah,
I wrote in my notes, I know we're all over the place. Loggins and Messina meets traffic. That's how I kind of look at it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
like Low Sparks, that album, that era,
The percussion that's going
the
on there, and
percussion.
how about those bass lines, right?
Whew,
Woo! The
absolutely
sax that kind of comes in from like left field and just so good. And the
the
guitar playing is
vocals.
great. But it's
Oh,
to me, those vocal harmonies between the two guys is what kills me on it. It's just like it just takes you away. It's such a great song. Such a great song.
I'm sold.
Yeah, it's good. To
I
me,
mean,
it's
quintessential.
yeah, that's really good.
And that was never a single or anything. There was never like a single edit. And, it's a big fan favorite.
Yeah.
And some people have said, man, you got to listen to the live version of it. You know,
Yep.
but we're not talking about live albums. I
No,
know
we're
you,
not. Well, maybe it's
but a lot of people go, well, if you like the studio version,
yeah.
uh, you know, so
Yeah.
yes,
It's
100%.
it's 10 minutes long on the live version, just so you know. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a very good album from them. And I wouldn't argue anybody puts it at number one or two, which obviously Grant is going to do one or the other. And I'm totally fine with that because I struggled with my top three because to me, all three of them are so good. But yeah, there's some great songs on this one. So yeah, that's my next two.
Yeah. In fact, I rearranged my
I could totally see that.
ranking because that was going to be my number one. But I'm going to go with Loggins and Messina 1972. You mentioned Good Friend. I find that very funky. What a good track to start the album with.
Yeah.
You've got a very CSN and Y feel on this track. I hear a lot of that. And I love it that you've got that influence. Now, I'm not saying they were influenced by CSN and Y, but there are tendencies on it, and I freaking love it because these guys have a very similar tonality as far as when they have their band and their backing band and the way they approach these tracks. Whiskey, you mentioned that folky track. Hey, it's fine. It's all right. It's got some flute on it. It's decent. I have no problem. I don't have a problem with Your Mama Can't Dance. I don't want to have to hear it again. They played that when we were kids over and over, and
Oh
I
yeah.
had enough then. Um, what else did you mention? Well, we have Golden Ribbons. You've got, I guess, Jim, Kenny, and Larry take vocals on that. And again, I wrote on here, very CSN and Y.
Yeah.
So if you like Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young, I would probably start here because if you like Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young in 1970, you might like Loggins and Messina in 1972. Holiday Hotel's another one, Jim Messina track, and the guitar on it. And I know I keep saying it over and over again. I could listen to Jim Messina play all day. The guitar cooks on that track. Lady of the Heart, acoustic ballad, Latin feel, bongos. Kenny's in great voice. I've skipped some, but it ends with Angry Eyes, which is worth the price of admission. Go out and get this if you haven't. Listen to Angry Eyes. I think that is the ultimate Loggins and Messina track. I never get tired of it. It almost like when you listen to it on the record, it's like, where in the heck did this song come from?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
like got dropped down from the aliens or something because it's just so powerful and the production's perfect. The guitar playing's perfect. The band's on fire. I have total love for Angry Eyes. So my number one that I changed, and we're going to go with the debut, Sitting In. Now the way it's ranking so high is because it feels like a total album to me. The sequencing's good. There's nothing on here that I listen to and it wouldn't fit. It seems like they're really collaborating well. I know it's hard. I don't have any data to say that they weren't collaborating because you Angry Eyes is the perfect collaboration
Yeah. Yeah.
because a lot of times Kenny would write, Jim would write, and Angry Eyes, they both collaborated on it. And I that's where I think it's key. So it starts out with Nobody But You, Jim Messina track, which is weird because, well, isn't this really a Kenny Loggins album to some degree? I mean, we know Jim's sitting in, but why are we starting out with the Jim Messina? It's fine. I have no issues with that. Great track, great, nice to hear some Jim Messina back, after Poco. Then you go into Danny's song, which was a song written by Kenny for his brother who was getting ready to have his first child. Holy mackerel.
Great song.
What a great song. And all the Kenny Loggins fans know it. It is a great song. Can you imagine when they were putting this together and Kenny probably played that for Jim Messina? Probably Jim Messina went, sign me up right then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wonderful track, beautiful. Uh you got oh I'm gonna butcher the name. Valhalla. Valhalla, I guess Valvola.
Bahavala.
Valavala. You got Kenny singing about being a sailor. It's a good rock track because what I like about this, you do get some really good rockers from Kenny.
Yeah.
And it's got great organ parts. It's excellent. So far, the whole album's hitting out of the park. Then you've got the trilogy, Loving Me, To Make a Woman Feel Wanted and Peace of Mind. I hear this and I hear a lot of Poco in it.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You've got horns, you've got Hammond. It's great. It's wonderful. It's what, like 8 minutes? We love these 8 minute tracks, Loggins and Messina. Um, Super track. Back to George is okay. House at Pooh Corner, great
Dreamy,
track.
dreamy, dreamy.
And were you aware that Nitty Gritty Dirt Band had a single out? They did it first.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
They did, because evidently Kenny got his song out there somehow. But this song, yeah, it's based on Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
But oh my God, the combination of Loggins and Messina on here. the vocal blends, the accompanying guitar, the production, the melodies. It's perfect. I'm sorry. It's a slow track, but man, it just
It works. Yeah.
enticing. It's just a beautiful song.
It's a great pop song.
Great pop song. It's beautiful. And then you got to listen to a country song, which is, a Jim Messina song. You got a rocker from Jim. It's not that much different than a Poco song. If you're looking at something you know, that early Poco catalog with Jim on it, not that much different.
No.
It's not really a country song either. So, all in all, though, I to keep things moving, we got Same Old Wine. That's an 8 minute and 17-second track. Wonderful, wonderful. Traffic meets Loggins and Messina for the first time on a record. It's a little bit political, which I don't care for. I don't like mixing politics and music. I think music should be politically free of that, but I'll give it a pass because it's so freaking great. Um, I think it's a great album. All these albums could all be interchanged, but this particular way this is sequenced and lined up, that you can have House at Pooh Corner and then listen to a country song, and I'm listening to it.
Works.
Yeah, yeah, that works. In like Danny's song, you got Nobody's But You, and then it goes in Danny's song, and I'm going, it kind of works. Where some of the other albums, it just seems like a hodgepodge. So yeah, the debut is my number one. And it was the second album, but I switched it. This is, I think, a stronger presentation of their material.
Well, the debut is my number two. It's a really, really strong album. I love Nobody But You. I love most of their album openers are pretty good. It's almost like they do these upbeat songs to kind of get you pull you in. Um, and yeah, it's weird how it goes from that to Danny's song, right? But I think it really works. And Danny's song is a wonderful song. And it's just crazy that it was a bigger hit for Anne Murray than it was for these guys, right? It's
Yeah.
Anne Murray that it was a monster hit for her, and maybe the way the melody's set up, it's a little bit more appealing to have a woman singing it. But they did okay with it. But it was Anne Murray that it was the bigger hit for. But still, it's a great song no matter how you look at it. Uh, Valhalla, or however you say it, again, the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young feel, good
Yep.
rocker. Really love it. I love Trilogy. I love all the soloing that goes on in there. The guitar, piano,
Yeah, I
sax.
didn't even mention that.
Yeah, so good. I love House of Pooh Corner. Back to George is pretty good. It's okay. Same Old Wine is great. I love the guitar solos in that from Messina, but it's got like this bluesy gospel feel to it, which I think is pretty nice and a little bit different for them. One of the songs that really doesn't do much for me, but it's okay. Rock and Roll Mood. To me, I wish it rocked more. If it's gonna be called Rock and Roll Mood, rock a little bit. But it's a bluesy pop number. I think it's a really good album. Love the production of it. I absolutely love the shot of the two of them on the cover. I think it's just great. So good. And my number one, which is going to surprise the hell out of me, obviously,
No,
process of
no,
elimination is Motherlode.
that's fine.
Uh, I really dig this album a lot. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It probably out of all these albums, it has the most Messina guitar playing on it. I love guitar music, so that's not surprising. Growing is a great, engaging pop song. I love the Loggins vocals. There's horns and guitars all over the place. Love it. Chorus is great. Be Free, I like that a lot. You got flute, you got violin, you got mandolin, changes, funky, upbeat, more great violin, got clavinet, great lead guitar. Brighter Days is really memorable. Like that a
Mhm.
lot. Um, Time to Space. Okay. Again, I love that kind of funky horns type of thing that they do. Nice guitar licks all over the place. Um, Lately My Love is another breezy kind of yacht rock song. Really like that a lot. Get a Hold, more funk. A lot of wah wah guitar licks on this album, which I also love wah wah, right? So that's
Mhm.
really good. Fever Dream is really good. Nice slow builder. I love Larry Sims' vocals on this album. He interjects on a couple tracks. Love the big long piece, man. Yeah. No real hits on this album. This
Mm-mm.
to me is a great, and I think it goes back to what you were saying before. It sounds maybe a little less like a kind of a cohesive album, but to me, it's their best deep cut album. And I think the whole album is just great deep cuts, even though maybe it doesn't flow as nicely as some of the ones that came before it. But I just find that consistently from start to finish, I enjoy this album more, like from track to track to track. And there's really nothing I don't like on here. Whereas some of the other albums, which arguably might be considered greater albums, have maybe a couple better songs than anything on here, but there's some songs that don't work as well for me.
Hmm.
So yeah, so Motherlode, I absolutely love. Like I said, this to me is their best album as far as like the greatest deep cuts. And yeah, no hits, but that's okay with me.
A lot of great playing on it. I cannot deny that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I totally could get how that would be a lot of this catalog. They have a strong catalog.
they do.
Let's just say, you could have mother, and this just goes to show you, you can put Motherlode at number one. I could have put, and I put Sitting In at number one. That just goes to show you that the first album's great, Motherlode's great. It's all Full Sail's great. It's just, it just depends on how you look at it. And you could just take all these songs, mix them up. You could make
Yeah, if
a perfect record if you wanted to.
you wanted to, yeah. And I will urge anybody because heard such great things about it. I went and got the live on stage album, which came out in what was this, 74. They did another one. I think they did have a contractual obligation and they just pumped out a live album when they were pretty much already done, which I've heard isn't all that great. I haven't
But a
heard.
finale, what is it called? Something, I don't even have it. I think it only came out. I think Wounded Bird or One Way might have reissued it. I've never heard that record.
No.
Can't.
But this is good. I mean, they start off and I love this kind of live shot here. Here you got Jim Messina wailing away on the Telecaster, and a Tele or a Strat.
Yeah, it's a telly.
Yeah, the Tele, and Kenny sitting down with his acoustic guitar. But it's got like they open it up where Kenny Loggins comes out by himself and does a couple of like kind of like solo songs, and then Jim and the rest of the band come out. But it's got like extended versions. I mean, just so you know what's on here: House of Pooh Corner, Danny's song, You Could Break My Heart, Lady of My Heart, Long Tall Cat, Listen to a Country Song, Holiday Hotel Just Before the News, Angry Eyes, 10 minutes long, Golden Ribbons. Another Road. Then on disc two, Havala, 21 minutes long, folks. There's a lot of jamming on here. Back
Yeah,
to Georgia, the trilogy song, 12 minutes long, Your Mama Don't Dance, and Nobody But You. So really for me, the only thing that's missing from here is my music. Would have been nice to hear on here, but otherwise,
mhm.
it's really, really good. Great sounding live album too.
You go.
Yeah. So there we have it. It's Loggins and Messina. So for folks watching, if you are familiar with this catalog, rank it as you like them. All right. Rank them as you like them, I like to say. And if you've never heard the catalog, kind of like me, just a couple months ago, I think you've got some good places to start here to dive in. There's some really good music here.
100%.
I've heard too, I don't have it, but I heard that they have a greatest hits set, which was a really big seller. That is a really good collection of some of their best songs. It's got the picture of the two of them on the front. It was a very big seller for them. I don't forget what it's called, but for some that may be the way to go. It all depends on what you like.
Mm, Depends on
So
what you like. I'd say at least do the first four
yeah, yeah,
or first five.
yeah. Yeah, the covers album isn't really mandatory. The last
Mm,
the last release is easily the weakest of the albums with all original material. But I would say the first four are definitely worth having for sure. So you
Yeah,
can get if you get the two BGO sets, these two right here, that's your mandatory Loggins and Messina right here. And these are not expensive. You can find these out in the
inexpensive.
wild. So yeah, that's the
There you
scoop.
go.
So Grant, what's new over at the warehouse and the Contrarians these days?
Well, contrarians, what is? Well, Martin keeps cranking out these reliving shows where he is looking at old reviews and then giving his review.
Yep.
Martin's on fire in the contrarians. So we've got that, and of course we have the Wednesday live chat. What's going on? And that'll be happening this Wednesday, I do believe. Um, what else is happening in the warehouse? To be quite honest, I don't have my book in front of me, and I didn't prepare, and
When are
I
you
don't
scheduled?
know.
Because I just
I'm
had a conversation.
flying. I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
Okay, see that he goes on a cruise and now he's lost.
I am
He's not
lost. I don't
lost
know
at
what
sea. He's lost back home again. So,
I'm lost. I only know what to do out on the seas. Kind of like Loggins and Messina on their
yeah,
boat.
see that? See that?
But
When are you
there's more
returning
stuff coming up.
to the listening party things? I was talking to
Well, the
Ken
listening
the other day.
party's
He's
going to
like,
come
I
back in
haven't heard
May.
from Grant, and I'm like, well, I know he's on a timeout, so
Well, I'm on a timeout because I got too cocky on a listening party
yeah.
and I went over. Okay. So what I really did, I was streaming to Facebook, X, and YouTube, and we were doing the Kiss show with the guitar hack, which was great. And I got a little cocky, Pete. Got a little cocky. I went over time. YouTube came in and cut the stream, and I didn't quit playing music or stop my stream to YouTube.
Oh,
That was a mistake because what YouTube does, for all you kids that would like to know, if you're playing music, you can play music, but you got to be very tactful about it. Can't go over an hour. And if they hack your stream, not hack it, but stop it, make sure you turn off whatever content your music you are streaming because they're gonna try to come back and bring you back up. And if they sense that you're streaming copyrighted material, well, I didn't get a strike, but I got a warning. So if I would do it again and get caught, so to speak,
you're done.
well, I couldn't post anything for a week and I'd get a strike. And I don't want a strike.
No, nobody
So
does.
I figure, well, I'll just start up in May again. So, like in May, we're starting up the listening parties, and I will not be going over an hour because the listening parties are big in the warehouse. It's big. So I will start those back up, and then we'll reconvene then.
Okay.
But it's fine. I can take a break. A
Yeah,
break's not
like
bad.
I said, Ken Golden was asking me because I know you and he are planning on doing a Prague one, and he goes, I haven't heard from him. I was like, well, he's on a timeout based on what happened like a month or so ago, and
Yeah.
so but you have to touch base with him and when
I'll
he
put touch base with Ken.
yeah. So all right,
Uh,
Grant and I will be back with more stuff in the not too distant future. Geez, what God, we talked about all this beforehand, and now I forget. So we've got
uh,
T-Rex, Simon
oh,
Garfunkel, Black Oak, Arkansas. We were talking possibly Honeymoon Suite, Moby Grape,
Brownsville Station.
Brownsville Station. So lots of stuff. I know there's more, but off the top of my head, I can't remember the other ones.
Yeah,
But
we'll be busy for a long
Grant and I
time.
always have a big pipeline, and in between now and then, there's other stuff like I've got. So next week, George Lemay and I will be doing the great prog band Caligula's Horse. That's coming up next week. I've got also on the docket with various people here. I've got Night Flight Orchestra. I'm doing Zebra with Lynn Versace. I've got
Libra.
Vicious Rumors, Hellstar, Coney Hatch, Phil Collins solo, the Helicopters, Sog, Possessed.
Yeah, we talked about Coney Hatch too.
Yeah, just so many bands to do.
And you got all that. You got all those. You got. There's not a big cat. Coney Hatch you could crank out
Yeah, there's
pretty
four.
fast.
I've got all the all three Rock Candies, and then the latter period one. I've got all those, which was Frontiers. So yeah, there's only four albums there.
Yeah.
Super Sister's another one I'm going to do at some point. So it's a great Dutch prog band. So yeah, Virgin Steel. I think I mentioned that already. So much stuff. So much stuff. Malice. I got all the metal stuff that I'm doing, Rich Catino and John Gaffney. So yeah, the list is long and varied and wide, everybody. So stay tuned for more. But of course, next week is Caligula's Horse with George Lemay and myself. But we'll see Grant back here in the not too distant future. Go visit him over at his channels and visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll see you soon here with more stuff. I'm Pete Pardo for Grant Arthur. Have a good one, everybody. Take
See ya.
care.